Hey, folks, welcome to the Generational Gap. I am Robert, your resident Gen Xer, and right over there
Right
is your
here.
resident millennial, uh, John. We'll call you John.
Jane.
Jane. Oh, are you Jane tonight? Oh, I wish you were Jane tonight.
Would
That would be fun. But you don't want to
be.
do Jane anymore. So you're saying we're coming through. Is that correct? You're seeing us on those
I'm
places?
seeing us. Yep.
Sane says, I woke up for this. Better make it good, bitches. No, we decided to
We had
do a
yeah.
not good show tonight.
We decided to
Um,
be purposely bad. Normally we're bad on accident, so this should be
Right.
interesting. We
This one
actually are
we're
going to try
attempting. We
to
are
be bad.
attempting to be bad. First things first. 5 minutes of dead air. Ready?
First
Go.
things first is my glasses were all crooked, and you let me go into the show that way.
You know
You're a
what?
bad
I'll
friend.
try and live with myself, John. I also
You're a
see
bad
Ed over
friend.
there. Says he's lurking and driving. He was first tonight, but don't tell him. He'll get a big head.
Nah,
And it
Henry
might.
was first. He's always
Oh,
first.
Well, yeah, but Henry's only first if he shows up.
No.
Technically, he can only be first if he shows up.
Yeah.
I'm just going to call it technical on that. Yeah, we're going to talk about a little bit of stuff tonight. This happened this week. Just some
Like
stupid
what,
shit.
Robert?
I don't know. Thought we
Stupid
would.
shit like the RNC
I thought
happened
we would
and
talk about the Railroad National Convention.
oh
Uh,
yeah, dude.
the
I saw that one train.
I don't know.
It,
Yeah, some stuff popping up there where Ed's at, up in Cheese
yeah, there was
World.
some shit popping off up there.
Some stuff popping off down south, down in Mardi Gras town, down in Louisiana and all. They got a little
Uh,
1-2 punch. It was a
they got a little rain.
light jab followed by a fucking uppercut.
Like,
It
like a
was
haymaker.
right.
Pow.
Ed says Kenosha. Yeah, up there in Kenosha.
Yeah.
I think it's just recently they finally released details of what went on up there. I haven't gotten into the details. I know that the response to it was a little interesting. I'm surprised Ed doesn't have board if he doesn't have boards on his window. RNC was a success for the Republicans, in my opinion. Yeah,
I
I mean,
agree.
you know what? Too many spoilers. Like when he accepted, I was like, I
I
saw
already
that
knew
coming. I
that.
saw
Yeah.
that coming, right? I saw it
Yeah.
for from the first night. So, hey John, I was going to jump. I wanted to talk about something for just a moment. I thought this was really cool, so I just wanted to put
Oh,
it out
Ed
there.
wants to talk about Kenosha. If we can wait a bit, do we
Yeah,
want to
yeah,
get him
yeah.
on
If
for
you want to talk
Kenosha?
about Kenosha, we can talk about that in a bit. I would
Yeah.
say HTFU.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little
Yeah.
HTFU
Ed,
is
just
in order there.
Ed.
It,
Oh my God.
go ahead.
Robert, give me 1 second. Ed, just message me on Discord when you get home, and I'll send you the link to the Zoom meeting.
Really, all that
That's it.
to tell him
Well,
something
yeah,
he knows what to do. He
he might
already
not.
knows what to do.
He might not know.
He knows what to do, John.
He might not.
He's a
What if he
grown
doesn't?
boy. You
Or
know.
maybe he doesn't
The
know.
real question is whether he's going to get home and start cooking something before he gets on. Then he's going to be like, "Oh, I'm cooking something."
No, he'll wait until after so he has an excuse to leave.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Yeah,
That's
he'll be
true.
like, "Oh, I gotta go. I got
Fortunately, he's the
I
kind
got a
that'll furnish.
48-pound steak in the freezer.
Right.
I gotta get
He'll
to
furnish pictures afterwards too.
it."
So
Saint
that's
says,
always
"Dad, stop yelling at mom."
dad stop yelling at
Wait,
mom.
which one of us is dad?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't
Hey,
know. We'll figure it out.
so my wife, in case you didn't know, which I think you do, is somewhat of an avid gardener.
Yeah, she has a
We've
couple of potted plants around the house, right?
Yeah, we've talked about it on the show a few times, but at the
Ton
same
of
time, we've
garden
also
toy.
talked about preparedness, right? And how
Right.
that's a very interesting skill to have, something to take with you. Well, my wife presented me with something that she's been growing, and I thought it was really fucking cool because I knew it was happening, and I've just been kind of waiting on it. And now that the first one's happened, there's more coming, and I think it's really cool. So I'm going to show this to you, John. Do you recognize this? Do you know what that is?
Looks kind of like cotton.
That is exactly what that is. My wife has
Yeah.
started growing cotton, and
Nice.
it's just she's watched her grandmother back in the day spin it into yarn, So she, she understands that process of turning it into fabric, things like that. But just to have it,
Badass.
gauze, things like this, preparedness things. But she's got a bunch of different ones grown out there, and I thought it was kind of cool. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to show. Because the other thing is, this is one of those great crops that if you look down in here, this is a very self-replicating crop because
It's got a
inside
shitload of seeds.
inside all these bowls you have these wonderful seeds in there, and they're actually also quite attractive in the process of making the plants are green, of course, but there's different colors of cotton like this surprisingly enough, though you can't tell it, is a red cotton.
Doesn't
And
look red.
but the bowl itself, when it starts, this is kind of actually the kind of like the flowers that it turns into because it's cotton, which is real quick, that's why it's called the rose of the south. But anyway, the outer casing on it is a bright red, and there's various colors of it. She's got some black ones, red ones, I think she's got a purple out there, white
Hmm.
and all that. So it also makes for some interesting colors as it's coming up. But I thought it was really cool. I'm like, oh shit, we're starting to produce cotton. And
That
that's
is
great.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pain in the ass. Like if you grow it in quantity, like, and you've got to go out and gather it because you don't want it to sit out in the weather and stuff and get rained
Yeah.
on, dried out, that kind of thing over and over. But it's a very like these leaves that you see on the back side of this, these get
Mm-hmm.
really hard. This outer casing and stuff, after it pops open, as they die off, they get really hard. You can cut the shit out of yourself, like on cotton. I
Oh,
remember
really?
from kid, yeah, you cut
I
yourself
never knew
up
that.
trying to gather those. So you gotta make sure you're wearing gloves. You can really tear your hands up. But anyway, I thought that was kind of cool. So just put it out there. It's not hard to grow. Um, you know, Moderate amount of sunlight, but definitely a good thing to have.
Yeah.
Reserve a little spot in your garden or whatever you're doing in your compound. Throw some cottonseed down in there, and you'll make yourself a nice self-replicating crop that you can actually find a lot of good uses for that cotton. Think about all the things you would be doing in a medical situation where cotton would come in super
Yeah.
handy, right? Just alone, but not to mention the textile avenues that you can go
Yeah. Of
down with it.
course. Yeah.
So
That's awesome.
once
Very
again,
smart.
God knows what might happen. Coming up here soon could be,
Yeah.
small cash crop as well. Never know what's going to be the new cash crop. Uh, but you have to pick it yourself. Don't hire anybody because that just leads to all sorts of trouble. Uh, so Ed says I can talk to you about Kenosha. That we got Dad. So I'd be like, Mom, it's 1,000 degrees up here. I'm ordering in. It's a
1,000 degrees,
degrees.
Ed. Come
A
on. It's
thousand.
not
So
really 1,000
if
degrees.
it was 1,000 degrees up there, all the cheese would melt and you would flood.
It's
So
true. Yeah.
there,
It'd be
you're not
like fondue
fooling me.
streets. Streets full of fondue.
Saint says Robert is peak boomer dad for sure. Nice.
But how does that make me mom? That's not fair. It's not
Big,
fun for me.
because your beard looks like a moo. Highest
Does it?
quality cotton in the U.S. comes from Arizona. Hey, you know what? This wasn't a pissing contest. I just thought it was cool that my
Nah,
wife grew
bruh.
some cotton. Jeez, Saint
South
God.
Carolina, bruh. South Carolina, bruh.
No, 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 no. You guys can't grow cotton anymore. That's
Fuck off.
racist.
Well, yeah, but they also still do it though. So
I mean, shouldn't you guys be busy getting rid
what
of
do you mean, you guys? I don't
plantation
live there
everywhere?
anymore. There's actually you can go visit plantations there in
You
Charleston,
used to. You
especially.
probably could up until
Yeah, you probably
recently.
can't now. Yeah, you probably can't now. But yeah, there's tons of plantations all over. You can go for like
Yeah,
tastings and stuff. You can go
some
for
beautiful
tours.
country down in there.
Fuck yeah.
I'm just saying. I have Charleston, South Carolina is shortlisted, and actually it has gone back up to the top of the list of where I would like to retire at. I think
It's my
Charleston.
favorite city ever.
Charleston,
Yeah.
I loved it whenever I was in Charleston. Seattle used to be great, and that warred for number one with Charleston for a long time. But Seattle's not the city it once was. So yeah,
Charleston isn't
Charleston.
either, apparently.
Well,
Apparently, it's
I don't
all
know.
gentrified downtown now, which is a shame because they had a lot of really nice, like, mom and pop shops, especially mom and
Yeah,
pop restaurants and stuff. It's all fucking gentrified now.
Yeah, and ironically, a lot of that seemed to be focused on that the slave market there and making that a
Aw, Saint says John equals Mama Bear. Aw,
because you look like a bear. Oh, and
that's
because
true. Yeah,
Ed says because Jane. Uh,
he
but
does.
the slave market there in that little area. I know that's got a lot to do with the tourist traffic and commerce. You know, but yeah, I noticed that the last time I was there, a lot more play into the tourists and things like that,
Yeah,
and
I think they
just
did get rid of that slave market. Yeah,
no, no, no. The slave
or the
market is
slave
still
market.
there, but
Is
it's
it?
it's it's about it seemed to over the I went there like two or three times over the years, and each time I went, it seemed like it it was being more modernized, like it was losing the slave market aspect. It wasn't, I mean, it was turning more into a mall, is what it felt like,
Mm,
like an outdoor mall versus, the old slave market where you'd walk through and you could still look at the architecture and then shop for trinkets and this, that, and the other.
yeah.
Now it's, shops and installed places and, putting down
There's an
roofs and
Apple store in there.
right. I'm just not, maybe,
Like, I
yeah,
wouldn't be surprised.
but they've
And it's right next to a Starbucks, of course.
right, and then they've extended, outside of that, to make it a larger shopping area and this, that, and the other.
Right.
So yeah, and
I
then
mean, it's in a good location for that, for being like a tourist,
right.
trap for peddling cheap shit. I
Um,
mean, that's why they chose that location in the first place to make it a slave market. It was like right in the middle of everything.
well, as
Like,
the key for me is not losing the architecture
yeah,
and the old world feel of the rest of it. If you want to have
yeah,
your little shopping hub there, I can live with that because you're not really But when I walk 4 blocks away and I want to see the houses and the alleys and the little pocket gardens and
yeah,
things like this and the wrought iron, don't fuck with that. That's the
right,
only reason New Orleans is worth going to is to go see that because I love those antiquities that we have in this country. They're fewer and far between, and of course, being destroyed by you know humans. Humans have a nasty
yeah.
effect on stuff like that.
It's
But
true.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. South Carolina, I don't know if it, you know, I'm curious as to what the landscape of the South is going to be like in the next 10 to 15 years, depending on
Yeah,
who gets their way and depending on, because, the South has always had a certain reputation and it's a very diverse reputation, let's be honest, right?
well, I
Um,
mean, yeah, it's kind of funny too, because like, yeah, the South has a stereotype of being extremely racist, which, I mean, yeah, with Jim Crow laws and everything, obviously it was those were laws designed, based on race. But like when it comes to the people, especially nowadays, like that's not the case at all. I mean, you look at where all the rioting and stuff is going on because police killings and stuff. Where are those going, or where are those taking place? Where police are killing black people. You know what I mean? It's not happening here. Like it's happening up in the northern cities.
right.
The northern half of the
Well,
country,
well, I'm
including
not.
like the northwest.
Well, now I am gonna say this. While I understand that Florida falls under the reign of the
It's
South,
not really the South
Florida
though,
doesn't count. Like when I think
and
about our day-to-day life compared to
yeah.
those true Southern Belt states, no, no, no,
You go,
no.
I mean, you go up to the north, like to the Panhandle, and along the Georgia border. It's a
Sure,
lot more.
sure,
You can find some good old boys up there for
absolutely,
sure. Yeah,
absolutely. And because you're starting, you still have some, you
starting to
got
get into like,
farmland tipping in
yeah,
there and still doing that stuff. And that I get, right. But when you're talking about, I lived in Atlanta for 12, 13 years, and different places around Atlanta from very southern pockets to very diverse pockets to very, what's the word I'm looking for?
Kuwait.
It's not, no, not white. Get a gentrify, is gentrify
No, gentrified is when white people move their businesses into a black area and
Right.
end up pricing out
No,
all the black people in that
segre-
area,
I,
so it becomes white again.
segregated is
So
not the
dumb.
right word though for living in a primarily black neighborhood. I mean, what is the what is the
Just call it a black
politically
neighborhood.
the politically correct term for that
Politically
though?
correct term.
Isn't there supposed to be something I can say about that?
Spaces of color. I don't know. Spaces of color.
A neighborhoods
A
of
neighborhood
color?
of color.
Is that
Yeah,
I don't know what I'm allowed to say
probably.
anymore. Is that see? That's where we've gotten. You know.
Probably a
Um,
neighborhood of color. Yeah.
but you know what? This is we had the same thing go on in the '80s, and it's funny that I think about this because I told you I was going to mention something else from a nostalgia point of view, and since we're kind of waiting on Ed so we can talk a little bit about Kenosha, um, I'll mention this. So I decided to dip into my past, right? And you hooked me up. We were talking about the RNC, and you mentioned Pluto TV, right?
Hmm.
So I went on there, and so I looked at their on-demand stuff, and sure enough,
Nice.
they have Three's Company,
Oh yeah, yeah,
old
yeah.
sitcom from the late '70s, early '80s, right?
Yeah, they got a lot of old shit like that. I was watching Little Rascals on one of their channels early, not earlier today, but before,
Right.
6 days ago.
So I've been
Love that
watching.
show.
I've been binging that show. It's got like 8 seasons. So I've been watching it just for nostalgia's sake because I remember it
Yeah,
from being a kid, but at a didn't really get it, right?
right.
Because I wasn't really. So now I get to watch it at a time where I get it and I can look at it, and it's amazing to me, John, to look at the comparative nature. Okay, so imagine we're talking 70s 80s transition, so we'll do a window of like 78 to 81, right? There's a at the time when this show started, um, but like they're dealing with their rent, okay, and
Hmm.
they're in California, right? But their rent is $300 a month for a two
My
bedroom
God.
apartment.
I
three
mean,
hundred dollars a month, and they can see the beach from their apartment.
oh, that's awesome. So they got like an expensive place that would run
Three,
you about 2,500 bucks for maybe
but
more for a two bedroom on the
but
beach in California. Probably be like more like 3,000.
here's what's interesting about that. So you think about that, right? $300 a
Mm-hmm.
month. Jesus Christ, if only, right?
Right.
For a two-bedroom place. But every month they're struggling to come up with $300, $100 a piece for the fucking rent.
Right. But I mean, that's
Struggling.
also at a time when you're making, $1.25 minimum wage, $1.25 an hour minimum wage. So it's a little, a little different.
Getting excited about job, something that's going to pay them $10 a night to
Yeah.
do, or oh, this one's going to pay, this job's going to pay me $30 for the for per night.
Yeah.
$30. Okay,
Back when dime bags were a dime.
right. Um, but it's interesting seeing other things too, like this misogyny that goes on
Mm,
is very apparent, but you can also see it's at the same time that we're dealing with the sexual revolution because you're seeing instances of women taking control, and it's the kind of situation like one episode where Chrissy gets a promotion and she meets her boss and he starts getting kind of
handsy.
handsy with her. But instead of going to HR or not knowing what they can do about it, they get him in a trap where his wife catches him,
Mm,
and so therefore, you know,
yeah.
they come up with
He
all
gets his
these
comeuppance.
silly,
Yeah.
right? He gets his comeuppance, and it answers for that, right?
Right.
But you're starting to see some of this women's lib thing. But it's interesting because, like Jack Tripper, of course, the premise of the show is that there's three of them living in one apartment, two women, one guy. But it is at a more Puritan time, in a sense, where it's not socially acceptable for guys and girls to live together.
Right.
So the only way that the landlord will let them live there is if Jack the landlord thinks Jack is gay, which opens the door for all sorts of homosexual cracks and jokes and cracks and
Right.
jokes, shit that would never fly today,
Right.
right? But there you are. You have Mr. Roper, and then when he goes on. They replace Don Knotts as the landlord, comes in, and he does the same thing. They make jokes about it constantly. Um, but ironically, at no point so far, and I'm in the fourth season out of 8, has there been a actual homosexual in the show,
Right.
right?
I imagine there
And
wouldn't be. Yeah.
here's the other thing. Now, I have found this very interesting to a certain extent. Not one person of color out of 4 seasons so far.
Oh, really? They're in California, though.
Except, I believe there was an African American police officer in one episode.
Well, that's progressive.
Right?
Which is funny because you mentioned there was only one so far. Little Rascals, there were two, and they weren't like treated differently because of their race. Like the actors acted more stereotypically towards their race, but like no one would be like, oh, those black kids or anything like anything more, uh, yeah.
We have
What was I thinking of?
we have Peaceful Pyromaniac. Welcome to the show. He's over on D Live. He says,
Oh, what's
are
up?
you wanting a homo to watch?" No,
I mean, if you got
no,
one, if you got an
no.
extra
I mean,
one, I mean,
is this like a live feed cam where you just get to observe them in their
oh,
natural
we
habitat,
could
or
watch. No, what we do is we watch the homosexual watch our show. It's like we
right?
got a camera that watches him watch our show.
Um,
That's what we do. I think that sounds fun. But yeah, no, I thought that was funny though. Little Rascals, they didn't really like change how they treated the kids. Like they would
no,
just kind
no,
of follow
no,
them.
and that was but on this, I mean, you would never know that any other races exist on this show
Oh yeah,
up to this point. Interestingly enough, but they're in California, so maybe at the time that was a thing. There weren't a lot of African Americans living out there yet. I don't know. Um, the other thing that is very apparent from the misogynistic, the feminist angle, is how skimpy their clothes are. Like regularly showing them in their night clothes, and it's a
mm.
wide assortment of stuff that perfectly shows off bottoms and is absolutely as much leg as possible and this kind of thing. Yet, ironically enough, because they were very big at the time, they were kind of a new thing. Uh, Pantyhose.
Mm.
They're constantly always wearing pantyhose, even apparently while they sleep.
Right, because that's comfortable.
But pantyhose are being used a lot for TV and film, to address, any issues with a woman's leg. It just makes them all one color and perfect for the camera. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Peaceful Pyromaniac says they were all rascals. Yes, they were all
they were
rascals.
Little
They
Rascals.
were
Yeah,
all. Now I have to say I don't. Who was your now out of all the Little Rascals? And understand that there were multiple Little Rascals in
yeah,
different iterations, right? But who was your favorite Little Rascal?
that's a good question. I mean, obviously Buckwheat's always great. Um, hmm, that's a good question. Spanky was always great too. I'd have to say it's a toss up between those two.
Um, while it may be an unpopular choice, I can admit to Froggy being my favorite.
Really?
Yeah, because that
I
was
could see it.
he was a smart little kid, but because of his voice, he wasn't taken seriously, so he didn't
Yeah.
talk as much. But he was not stupid. See, he knew how to solve problems, but he didn't get as much time because of that voice. This is a fucked up voice. I'm just saying.
What do you
I
think,
don't
Ed?
know.
Who's your favorite Little Rascal, Ed?
Alfalfa, of course. Hold on, I
Alfalfa.
gotta get the
Is that the only one that you know?
right off the top of my head. Yes.
Okay, all right, real quick. Ed, welcome to the show. Good to see you, by the
Oh
way.
yeah,
I
hi
see
Ed.
Sully Blue has come into the conversation with his super soft and handsome wiener. If you haven't hit like, he says that you should all hit like because bitches and stuff.
Yeah,
Real
as soon as you
quick,
hit like, bitches come out. Like it's gonna be a good,
here's
be a
here
good time as soon as you hit like. That's all you
here's
gotta do.
here's a question, a Little Rascals question for both of you, and we'll see who gets this. Can you name the band and the song the band played
Nope.
in which they used the Little Rascals as an intro to their song?
No.
And
Nope.
it's an
No.
80s hair band.
Yeah,
Oh, well, that's why
out
I
of my
wouldn't know.
wheelhouse.
Yeah, it's a little too
John,
obscure for me.
And I was a big 70s guy.
all right, so it's worth listening to because the song was awesome. REO Speedwagon's Tough Guys.
Okay.
At the
I
beginning,
would consider
there's
them an 80s hair band.
REO Speedwagon. They were,
Yeah.
yeah. Had to look at the lead singer and tell me he wasn't hair galore. He had the largest perm I've ever seen in my life, not on a Weird Al Yankovic. Uh, Peaceful Pyromaniac says buckwheat just because he couldn't exist in 2020. No, he
Oh,
couldn't.
hell no.
However,
Hell no.
however, I am always watching for when Eddie Murphy does make a sneak appearance on Saturday
Oh my
Night
god.
Live because he does revitalize buckwheat every once in a great while. Just saying. Uh, he also says J. Edgar's all done writing. It's a real shame what he did.
Yeah, that's why we invited you on here. This is an intervention, Ed. My first question, what the hell? And to follow up, how dare you?
All right.
How dare you?
Yeah,
How
Ed. Now,
dare you?
first, let's go ahead and clear any doubts from the minds of any listeners or watchers. You didn't start anything up in
He didn't
Kenosha,
start the
right? You
fire.
didn't
It
have
was
anything to
always
do with
burning.
this. Is that correct?
No, it was always burning since the world's been turning.
That's right.
Um, you know what? Just for that, I think I should. John, I'm going to make you sing that whole song. Can you sing that whole
No.
song? Do you know all the
No, I
words to
can't.
it?
No, I don't.
I
Unfortunately.
think I've got like 98% of it. I would stumble a couple of times, but how
Well,
about
let's
you,
hear
Ed?
it.
Can you do it?
Not right now. Give me a little while to practice and read the lyrics again. Because
Yeah,
it's
let's
been a
hear
few
it, Robert,
years.
since you got 98% of it.
Good God.
It's your turn to embarrass
I don't
yourself on
have
the
any.
show.
I don't have any music in my ears. I need a monitor.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I need
If
the
only you
monitor. Can
had
somebody
like,
turn the monitors
if only
up?
you had
Like,
access to every song ever written by mankind at your fingertips. If only, that would be crazy, right?
what you think? My Zune player is in the house. It's in the house. I don't have access to that right now,
Right,
and I
totally.
don't
That's
remember the last time I updated that. All right.
Zoom.
I thought that would be funny. Do you get that reference?
Oh yeah,
Okay, good.
yeah.
Guardians
Everyone
of the
knows what a Zoom
Galaxy
is.
2?
Oh no, I just got it because like no one got the Zoom. So yeah.
No, in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, sorry, spoiler,
Oh no.
his headset, his Walkman gets destroyed, and then they give him, he says, "Oh, here, Captain had this," and he hands him a Zune player. He said it was supposed to be like, really big for music, and it's a fucking Zune player, like of all the ones you could give him, right? But anyway, all right, Ed, Kenosha, you had a little bit of something going on up there. Can you? I if let me tell you what I know.
Well, real
A
quick
kid.
though, before
Oh,
you start, real quick, Ed, I want to say I watched you on Matt Christensen's call-in show. I
Mhm.
think you did a good job. Congrats, man. It was awesome. Yeah, just want to give
Yeah, it
him
was
props
nice
real
of him to
quick.
bend the rules just on that one there too. I just said that I was going to call in. I didn't expect him to do that for me, but that was
Yeah,
kind of cool of him. I thought.
yeah, that was really awesome, man.
so Sully says his YouTube comments aren't coming through. Something is
Yeah,
going on
I'm
with
not seeing
YouTube and
D
our
Live
chat.
stuff.
We are having so much issue with our chat and YouTube recently. It's almost like I don't know. Ever since, and it's been ever since the one that they shut down.
Yeah, that's what they shut us down.
Since then the chat goes in these little
We talked about
spurts.
bringing pizza up to the gate so that they could
Yeah.
drop it off.
Yeah.
With no context list delivery.
But anyway, so I don't know. I don't know if it's them, some algorithm that they, where they're watching our chat or something, but it throws things off and it discombobulates Restream. So
I got
it's
one thrown into age restriction
I
earlier
saw
this
that.
week.
Yeah.
Holy
Really?
shit, that's loud.
Sorry.
I was switching over to D Live over there just so I could follow you guys and get all the chat there, and I got blasted with a fucking audio play or autoplay rather.
Oh no.
Well, yeah. So I don't know. It's just
The
I'm trying.
generational gap is not responsible to any for any hearing loss that's happens while watching or listening to our show. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Don't look for any notifications from YouTube, Sully. It's something fucked up going on with the chat and restream. They're not plain friendly. These things should work together seamlessly.
I
But
got a
anyway, all right.
question. You guys actually know Sully and you are close enough to hang out with him. Why doesn't he have a mod over on your D Live? He's got one on mine.
You are correct.
He's
That is
got
an
one on mine.
oversight. That is an oversight on my part, and it's about to be rectified right now. There we go. Silly Blue is now a moderator. I'll make him
Uh,
a mod in the YouTube chat too.
too
Watch
many,
me.
too many,
Tell me I won't.
too many mods. Not enough Indians. I don't know.
There you go. You're a mod. Sully, you're now a moderator on YouTube and D Live. Look at you, moving up in the world.
All right. So Ed, here's what I think I know.
Go ahead.
A kid was shot in the back by cops.
A kid, he was fucking 30 years old.
Okay, a guy was shot in the back by cops, like 6 or 7 times supposedly.
7 times is
This-
the number I've seen consistently. So
And
I'll go with that.
and for some reason the police didn't release any information on this for a decent amount of time, like more than usual. Is that correct?
No, I would not call that correct.
Oh, okay. So I was under the impression that they weren't giving up information very quickly on this.
No, that actually came out pretty quick.
Yeah.
I mean, it happened at 5, and they were on the street burning shit by 7.
Now, this has been going on since the day it happened. Has it stopped or abated? I mean, is it starting to die off?
From what I understand, with the additional National Guard that came in and some of the other FBI and other federal agents that have come in, yes, we are at a point that it has stopped. It has, for the most part. I mean, we still have some people that are being stupid, but they're getting arrested pretty quick at this point.
Ed, let me do something real quick.
What's
just
up?
real quick pause. John, our stream didn't drop and then come back up, right? We're still on the same stream?
Yeah.
I was just okay. I just wanted to check that wasn't why there was an issue with the chat. If for some reason it had flipped and there needed to be a new stream picked up to be able to get in the chat. All right. Anyway, it just came to my head real quick. But anyway, please continue, Ed.
So to give you kind of a stretch on what happened up here, and first and foremost, I know that you talked about boarding up the windows. I am actually safe because I no longer live in Kenosha. I moved out in 2014. I live about an hour west at this point. So they're not going to get out this far, but where they are going at this right now is 6 blocks away from where I used to live.
Yeah, that's insane.
Now you
So if it wasn't for the fact that the Amtrak line was raised, I would actually be able to look right across and see it from the front porch of where I used to live.
Now you had some concerns, if I'm not correct, about loved ones in the area, though.
Yes, for the most part, it appears that they are leaving the residential areas, or were. I mean, they're not doing anything now because the feds are there and say, "Hey, you ain't doing this shit no more."
Okay. Well, let me ask you this. Since we're starting to get there's information out there. Was it a clean shoot?
Yes. Yes, everything that came about this, even the 7 shots, everything was justified from everything else that I've seen at this point.
Yeah.
The first thing that came out of this was that, the first narrative that came out of this was that Jacob Blake was over trying to bust up a domestic dispute between 2 women over at a place probably about half a block west of where he lived. He was over there. He was trying. The first narrative was that there was a domestic dispute and 2 women fighting. He was there trying to break it up. The video showed we saw him walking around an SUV with guns trained on him. He got up to the door, opened up the door. The dispute came at first on whether he was trying to get into the car or whether he was reaching forward. It was determined that he was reaching forward, at which point a Kenosha police officer discharged his weapon 7 times into his back. Immediately, the officers on the scene began to administer first aid to try and save his life. They got him stabilized to a point where the ambulance showed up, brought him over to Bradford High School, the closest place that had an open enough parking lot for Flight for Life to come down. And Flight for Life picked him up and took him to Frederick Hospital, the medical campus actually up in western Milwaukee County, where Jacob Blake's life was saved. He is paralyzed, maybe for life. That is not determined at this point. But from the waist down, he is paralyzed, but alive. At this point, the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel and a few other outlets have leaked the 911 call and a transcript of the 911 call showing that the domestic dispute was actually called on Blake himself. Instead of him being there to try and break up a fight, the domestic dispute was called on the fact that he was there. There are rumors circulating right now that the felony warrant that he had out on his arrest for sexual assault has been vacated. I have no confirmation of that at this point. But he was there. He had stolen the car keys of the woman that lived there, who was either his ex-girlfriend or his current girlfriend. That has not been determined at this point. It has been determined that he was reaching for a knife on the floorboard of his SUV. That was by his own confession after he is now awake from his surgery.
Okay. I'm sorry. God damn it. I didn't want to laugh, and now I'm laughing. Had all those guns trained on him, and he was going for a fucking knife. I'm not laughing at the guy. It's just the first thing that comes to my head is who brings a fucking knife to a gunfight. But anyway, so he was
a skateboard to a gunfight.
Yeah.
We'll get to that a little bit later
here. All right.
Yeah.
So he was going for a weapon.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that is why he was shot, because it was assumed he was going for a weapon. After he had been, had he been told to not do what he was doing?
Yes. Actually, another video came out that brought up the events immediately before the second story video that set the world on fire, essentially. Another video came out that showed there was they were wrestling him on the ground, and he had been tased already at one point too. There is rumor going around that he had a knife during the altercation as well. I have not seen a confirmation of that. I've seen a picture, but haters will say it's Photoshop.
Right. Because I saw that one too. He was pulling out like the front of his waistband, like pulling something out of there, and it was like shiny and metal.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like as he's going in front of the car that he was about to get into.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then knowing all of this, I'll ask you first, John, and then I'll let you weigh in, Ed. John, does this qualify as excessive force?
No, I think they tried to de-escalate plenty of times. They tried to get him under control, I guess, several times. As we heard, they were wrestling with him. They tried to tase him. They tried like going hands-on. They tried non-lethal first.
Okay.
And then he gets in the car with a bunch of kids, supposedly has a knife.
Well, that's one of the other things that came along with this too, is that supposedly his girlfriend, which I don't understand how she could be both in the apartment and in the SUV at the same time, but was in the car with his 3 kids in the back seat. That has never been confirmed to me, by the way.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. I don't obviously.
Well, one of the first things that is one of the first things I heard about this, that his children were in a vehicle and witness to this happening.
Right, and I've never heard anyone try and dispute it, so right. I just figured that was accepted fact, because I haven't seen anyone question it even.
Right. So when I say and let me qualify. So when I say excessive force, part of that question is 7 shots.
Yes.
Had to be fired at this guy. So is there a line of excessive force that was crossed at any point in this, in your opinion, John?
No, I mean that's how they operate. They don't just fire a shot. Like, you empty the magazine anytime you fire, for the most part.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Ed, do you agree with that?
Yes, I do. And there are some other things that go along with that go to the point of self-defense. And one of those is center mass until you are certain that the situation is neutralized, especially if he was reaching for a weapon.
Um,
Hmm.
so even if we, so okay, and understand, I'm not advocating anything here. I'm dancing
Yeah.
on either side of this line. Questions coming to me, but is it not as easy to say fire at the legs, right?
No, center mass.
Is that
Oh,
Every
the way?
time.
it's always center mass. Anytime
So
you're trained to fire at any kind of target, it's always center
could
mass.
we
Don't don't
interpret
don't
that
take the
as
words of
shoot to
that demented
kill?
asshole Biden over that.
No,
Yeah, and
okay,
not only that, but there's also major arteries in the leg that can
sure.
make you easily bleed out. So it doesn't really
Well,
do anything
there
except
is
for
that
make it
major
more
artery in
difficult.
your chest that is
Well, that's
connected
what I'm
to the
saying. It
heart,
doesn't,
but
right. What I'm
um,
saying is it doesn't do anything. It's not less lethal to shoot someone in the leg, really.
okay. So then,
It's just a
so
harder target to hit. So what's the point?
but the larger question that this comes to is, okay, so what you're telling me is you're saying center mass, but
Mhm.
Yeah.
I should easily be able to interpret that as shoot to kill.
Yeah, why else would you be shooting
Yeah.
at the person?
But you understand what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
when they're making that argument about excessive force with the police, you know, just the idea of shooting to kill in any situation seems to cross that line of excessive force. That's where I I begin to, I'm like, okay, I have to try and weigh in their side of the protests. Well, I'll talk about protests. I'm not going to speak to the rioting. That's too far
Hmm.
out. But the justification for protesting, I'm like,
Hmm.
okay, I
There is
have
no
now.
justification for protesting right now.
Well, well, I'm talking about
Well, I mean, there
protesting
certainly
and
is, but not the current ones.
I'm
Yeah.
talking about protesting an incident like this. Like you can protest the incident, not riot about it. There's
Right. Right. Right.
the right to protest is a thing. That's your thing.
Yes.
But the shoot to kill mentality, I think, adds a lot of credence to their argument about
I
excessive
mean,
force because if
okay, but
that
if you're
mentality
firing at
exists,
someone,
right? I get
okay,
it.
but like, yeah, what other reason would you have? You're not firing
Oh,
at someone for
I,
fun, I hope.
I
Why else do you
understand.
shoot at somebody?
I'm not going to shoot to
Like,
wound. If I have to shoot somebody, I'm not going to shoot to wound. I get that.
right.
But I guess it's speaking to that mentality that they talk about in the police force, where they want retraining, they want this, that, and the other, because they want to get rid of this shoot to kill mentality versus
And
shoot
replace it
to
with what?
stop, right? Like so I don't know. I did question whether or not 7 shots was necessary to take this guy down. I always question how many shots are, I do.
I mean,
You
so
don't
first of
know in a
all,
split second.
yeah, in a
I
split
get you.
second, you're making a decision. You have to follow through on that decision no matter
Right.
what. Secondly, like, you're not going to sit there and count your shots and be like, all right, so this guy's like 6'3", he's probably 185 pounds,
Right.
probably only 3 shots. You're not making that decision. You're just squeezing the trigger until the guy stops. Like, and I'm not saying that it's always right. Obviously, it's not always right when a police officer kills someone. That's not always right. There are plenty of unjustified shootings, but people don't take into account like that side, that split second decision, because most people haven't had to make that decision in a split second.
Right.
So
Well,
you can talk all day about, oh, I would do this or I would do that, or I don't think this is necessary. You can armchair quarterback all you want,
sure.
but
Oh,
until you're in that position, you have no idea how you would respond.
I will thoroughly always give magnitudes of weight to that argument. Um, I will say this: from the mentality of looking at it, trying to determine if there's a certain level of police brutality, for want of a better term, in this country, it 7 shots to this man's back is different if it had been from 7 different guns versus one gun.
And I am not entirely convinced that this was all from one gun either. That is the narrative that's going on right
Right.
now, but I'm not convinced that it's true.
But you have to admit that makes the magnitude of the severity different. Like if it was 7 different guns that shot at this guy, that's understandable. 7 people reacted by firing at him, as opposed to one person just unloading a clip, which again, maybe it was multiple guns, but I look at that and I'm like, okay, I would hate to be in that position to where I just unloaded
Yeah, that
bullets into this
fucking
guy's back,
sucks.
right? I would hate to be in that position to
Hell
have to
yeah.
make the call in the first place and then
And then
live with
live
the
with it
repercussions of it
forever.
afterwards.
For the rest of your life, you're living
Right,
with that.
right.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, and that's another thing is a lot of people dehumanize the police as if they're not human, as if they don't, first of all, make mistakes, and as if they don't, you know, uh, hold that emotional baggage for the rest of their lives. Like as if they're just evil and having fun riding around killing people. Like it's not how it works.
yeah, anytime I see something like that, when it's one person doing that, 7 shots, I immediately my mind goes to, okay, was that a panic reaction? Was that something that could have been controlled,
Well,
or
it's
not?
also one because the guy was halfway in the car, the door was open. There's room for one officer behind him.
Right.
There's not
Okay.
room
Whether
for
whether
10 officers to be in a semicircle and fire.
right. Well, I
There's room for
figured there
one
would be
guy there.
cops at various locations with, it wasn't just one cop there, right?
There were a couple of cops there, yeah, but I'm
Right.
saying that there was only one that was in a
Oh, had the
shooting,
line of
like,
fire.
yeah, had a good
Gotcha.
line of
Gotcha.
fire,
Gotcha.
yeah. So it makes more sense, I think, that, yeah, there would only be one. Because
Gotcha.
they're not trying to hit everyone else around the car.
Right.
Yeah.
No, it's if I don't know, I've been doing this battle, where I'm like, okay, I'm having to actually separate. Okay, there were protests that went on, and I have to look at whether or not there was any legitimacy to the protests themselves. Not just about George Floyd, but it's about different things that have happened. Different causes are being taken up in this,
Mhm.
and this is just another example in Kenosha. Now, I don't agree with the rioting and all of that,
Of
as I
course,
said.
yeah.
Oh,
That's not a part of
that
this
broke my
arena,
heart. I'm
right?
going to tell
Yeah,
you that right now before we
Oh,
even get into anywhere on the bat. That broke me. I
yeah.
don't get emotional very often, but that one broke me.
yeah, I could see how that would really hit home for you, really hard, and it's I'm imagining that you've constantly been questioning, what should I do, what can I do, there's part of you that wants to go up there and just bring holy hell, right? And
Well, when I
Defend
heard
a car dealership or
that
something,
second
but
night, I heard people that were talking about going into the residential areas at one point. And I mean, if I'd have found out that that was happening, I talked to John a little bit off of that. I told
yeah.
John that if I'd have found out that this was going to be happening, John would have been doing contemporary that morning.
Yeah, he actually set it up
Because
already. He had set it up. He's like, if I do something like that, can you can you do it? I'm like, yeah, of
it would
course.
have been me, not Kyle, whatever the fuck his house is,
Right. I would have just taken over your channel. That's what would have happened.
probably.
I would have been like, hey, it's John J. Edgar.
it's John Edgar.
John Edgar, yeah.
Uh,
uh,
oh shit, I can't catch up with the chat. It went a little too far. I'm going to catch up with some of it though. But Sully is talking. He's saying he was talking about non-lethal, so there are steps leading to lethal, like tasers, tear gas, baton. He says which they are trying to take away, which is counterproductive in my eyes.
Mhm.
But Peaceful says, and agree. Ultimately, it's what lethal force is. Sully agrees with me that there's a question: is 7 shots too much? It does seem,
I think
you have to
I don't know. I
when
just
it
think
when
it's
it.
He
irrelevant, though.
survived.
Yeah, I think it's irrelevant. It
But
just,
see,
I mean, whether you survived
see,
or not isn't important. It's that if you're making that decision to fire the weapon, you've already decided to kill him. Even if you don't, even if you miss, you don't hit something vital, you've made the decision to kill someone already as soon as you squeeze the trigger. So 1 or 7 doesn't really make a difference.
um, I do think that what we really have to think about more than anything is that instinct of self-preservation. I
Yeah,
mean, it really comes down to that, and I don't. I could see that in that sense, shooting 7 bullets, just unloading 7 out of the magazine, just reacting to the moment,
yeah,
absolutely uncontrollable. Like you can't instill a level of control in someone. You can't put like all that Jason Bourne shit and that you can't really get someone to. I
Yeah.
don't know that people can get to that point. There are going to be panic moments
Oh yeah.
that and it's not bad panic moments. It's just like right now, fight or flight. I haven't.
Yeah.
It's there's this is that moment, and those are the moments that I don't care what you do. You can't train someone to think in that moment. Um, you know,
Nephilim Ninja makes a good point. Kyle had control. Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did.
He did.
That was a clean, justified shot too. I don't give
Yeah.
a fuck what anybody says.
100%.
um, but all police shootings of color are bad now. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how justified and
Even if they're
clean the shot
police of
is.
color? Even if they're
Remember,
police of color?
it doesn't matter, John. They're blue. Those are
Okay.
blue. Right?
Oh, okay. They're just
That's
blue.
when we get it to now. It's blue. Okay. But
I mean, blue is a color.
yeah, it's
So
also a
they're still police of
mentality.
color.
Blue is a mentality. It's a brotherhood. It's the
Yeah.
blue wall. It's
The thin blue line is what it's supposed to be, which is such a mischaracterization of that phrase, the original thin red line. But
right.
whatever, that's a discussion for a different time.
Well, I am not going to admit that there is much like we've talked about the political spectrum being that curve
The
where
horseshoe.
the horseshoe, right? I think law and crime and law are very akin because like you could
Well,
be
yeah, I mean,
doing
the more
something
law you
just
have,
and just
the more
step over
crime.
the line just one little bit in a justified way, but you're still, you're dipping your toe into the dark side a little to get that magic to work, as it were.
Yeah.
Um, you know, let a little bit of that anger flow through you. Um,
Huh.
so what is the response from Kenosha going to be, or is this going to be a Wisconsin response, as far as um, the repercussions in as far as the police are concerned, the Black Lives Matter movement? Because of course, you know, we have to ask: is this the next state city that's going to capitulate to?
Nope. The Trump administration put a fucking end to that shit.
That doesn't mean that they won't change laws and stuff, right? I mean, that's what I'm talking about. The knee jerk reactions to these outcries in these areas. We've seen some places just do some stupid shit. Oh, sure, we'll start taking money away from the police right away. Let's get to that. You know,
Yeah.
what do you feel about Wisconsin? I mean, this is, especially this one hitting close to home.
Well, the reality of everything is I really think that Evers is going to get recalled over this one because he fucked up. He fucked up hard on that one, and that's a big part of the reason that we're looking at all of this shit going on right now. Is the fact that he decided that he was going to come out and run his mouth immediately before he knew any of the details or anything that was going on. He was going to be right on top of this and run his mouth.
Mhm.
And now Kenosha's in ruins, especially a lot of historical buildings. And there are other buildings in there where the businesses, they're, the thing about Uptown and some of downtown Kenosha is the fact that they built it like a 40s town where
Yeah.
buildings are, or like businesses, you can have 7 to 10 businesses in one building. And they've taken out and burned up one business in these buildings, and the whole building is fucked at this point, and everybody's got to move out of these buildings right now because he had to come out on the first day and say, well, we don't know all the facts, but this isn't the first time that a black man's been killed. I could have gone to Madison myself at that point when I heard that, because I knew what was going to come out of it too.
Yeah.
I knew exactly what was going to come out of something like that.
Yeah.
But uh, are you? Is your which way is your state leaning? Is your state ready to lean back towards the Republican fold?
I think so. I really do. Because this came out, this hit someplace that wasn't Milwaukee or Madison. That was the biggest part of this, and I said this over on Christensen's show too. The fact of the matter is that Kenosha is about half and half between people that moved in from out in the sticks in the western part of the county, who are well armed because they hunt regularly. They moved in from there to come and get work in town because there wasn't any work out west for them anywhere. And it's a little bit cheaper to live in there while they're getting started off of there, but they still came in and brought all their guns with them. And people that came up from Chicago or down out of Milwaukee that couldn't make it in either place because they weren't fucking ghetto enough. I know Vega liked that line too.
So, and John, you'll have to tell me about who this Kyle is that is being talked about. Someone will have to clue me into that soon.
Kyle Rittenhouse, the guy that
I guess.
shot 3 commies.
I guess.
Yeah,
you'll have to clue me into that later. All right, so Ed.
Well, or I mean, Ed's going to talk about it, right, Ed? You said you were going to. Yeah, I mean, we could talk about it.
All right. Well, we still had other stuff to talk about.
We got a whole hour. We got an hour left.
You calm the fuck down, sir. Listen to what I'm telling you.
Okay.
So anyway.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
No, I don't know anything about this, so I just see the name Kyle and I'm like, sounds like a loser.
Do you see Kyle?
Ha!
No, I just saw the name Kyle.
So you did see
Nephilim Ninja
Kyle.
said Kyle had control, didn't empty the clip, shoot to stop the threats.
Yeah.
Sully was responding and saying,
no, that, but he shot from a sitting position, which is not a usual.
Couldn't execute that situation the way Kyle did.
He played a lot of COD. A lot of Call of Duty, man.
Anyway, so yeah, I don't know anything. I don't know what it's pertaining to. You said he shot some communists.
Yeah, some commies. So what I get from the story is that he lived in Antioch, Illinois, drove about 30 minutes east to Kenosha, right? It was in Kenosha, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yep.
And then
I actually took video of where it happened.
Oh yeah, I don't think I saw that one. I know I watched a bunch of your streams. I don't know, I must have missed that one. And then, so he was there with some like militia group. I don't know. I mean, is that part true?
That is correct.
Okay, so he was there protecting a car dealership that was there.
Well, that's not why he came up there, but he came in and joined up with them while he was up there, from my understanding.
Oh, he went by himself and then just kind of embedded himself?
Well, I don't believe they came up there specifically to guard the car dealership. I do believe he was associated with American Wolves to begin with, but I don't think that they came. Came up there to do cleanup because it was a mess already.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fair enough. Yeah, and then apparently some cops drove by in one of their APCs that they're allowed to have. And they thanked them for being there and helping out and whatever, and then gave them a water bottle. I know that because that was a big point of contention. Was that they're giving this white supremacist, which there's no evidence for that, but they're like,
right, of course.
There is. What are you talking about?
Yeah, didn't he post like a Pepe or some shit? I don't know.
No, he's a white person that defended himself. He's
that's true.
A white
course,
supremacist.
Yes, naturally.
Instantly.
Yeah,
instantly.
Everything qualifies.
Yeah. And then, so it gets a little fuzzy here for me from that point on, because somehow he ends up at a different car dealership than the original one, and is getting into a confrontation with a guy who is trying to destroy some of the cars that are there. That's when, I believe that's when he gets shot at. Is that true? I'm trying to keep all the facts right, because I've read through the timeline.
There are a couple different narratives that go along with this, and just to really kind of let you know, we don't know.
Okay.
Right. I'm trying to piece it together from all the different
So
narratives.
What's the most factual narrative?
Well, we don't know, obviously.
Well, no, I said the most factual. Doesn't make it certain. It just means it's the most factual.
Well, obviously we don't know. If some of those facts are incorrect, then we can't know which one's the most factual.
From what I understand out of all of this, we are sitting at a point where he was at the car dealership. There was an altercation. A shot rang out behind him or in front of him. We saw the flash on the muzzle.
Right, that was in the video.
And shot back. And then 2 other gentlemen chased him down the street. And it was more than 2 people that were chasing him down the street, by the way. I
Right,
saw
but there
the
were
first
two.
video.
There were two like in front. The
Yeah.
rest of the
The
group.
2 that were leading up there that actually caught up with it. There were about 7 people chasing him down the street. The 2 people that caught up with him pushed him down to the ground. He wrestled briefly. He got hit in the head by a skateboard.
Yep.
He turned into a roll. He pulled up. He shot one center of mass.
Mm-hmm.
2 shots.
The
Shot
skateboard
the
guy.
second one. Yeah, the skateboard guy was 2 shots center of mass.
Yep.
Second person, he pulled up 1 shot to the bicep.
Yeah, took a chunk out of his arm.
Then he surrendered. He went to go turn himself in. The police ignored him because they had other things going on, obviously, at that time. And then he went home to Illinois, crossed state lines.
Yeah, that's what...
So he didn't even get. He wasn't even arrested.
He tried. He tried to get arrested.
Yeah, he did.
And they were like, nah. Like,
I'm assuming police saw it happen.
Mm-hmm.
If they were that, I'm assuming they were there when it happened. Wow.
Yes.
I can't believe I haven't seen this video. Why haven't you shown this to me, John? You suck.
It's on my channel and it got age restricted.
Yeah, but why would I watch your channel?
Wow, because Ed is our friend and we love him, whether you like it or not.
I watch yours.
Yeah, he's on ours.
You know what? I watch yours sometimes, so don't even start. You know I do.
I love you.
Aw. Such a sweet, tender moment on the generational gap tonight, guys.
I know, right? Yeah. My little heart went pitter pat. No, I can't believe I haven't seen that. Yeah, but I don't. There's just so much of the world that I just tune out anymore. It's like, God, the noise.
Yeah.
It's like going outside. Like if I go out into the front yard and pick the right bush, I can just shove my head in it, and all you'll hear is.
It stings a little while you're in there, but
no, actually,
all the noise.
Actually, you know what? For some reason, I don't know if they know if our smells on everything, but no, man, bees are never aggressive. I'll put my hands in bushes where the bees are at, and they're swarming all around doing stuff. Never aggressive. I think they smell us on the garden. Because we're in it and we're around it so much.
Your sweat is in it. Your sweat, your blood, and your tears, Robert, are in those bushes.
But anyway, it's but the noise out there with everything that's going on is very loud, and we already know that we don't know what's true anymore. Yeah. So it's I'm just picking and choosing the stuff that I'm listening to now. It's like, maybe I'll listen to this and then react to everything else. which is kind of my thing. I enjoy that aspect. What do you mean stock prices are through the roof?
Oh, real quick, Sully Blue says he plays COD. Well, dude, you should join like the Marine Corps or something. Put those skills to use. Yeah, he was in the Marine Corps. Yeah. Dude, you should just join the Marines. It's like the same thing.
I've played COD, right?
Yeah. Cash on delivery. Yeah.
I was
never allowed to. Every time I got something, they were like, no COD. And I'm like, damn. That's a little throwback. You don't do that anymore. No one does CODs anymore.
Now, see, it was in, with the thing about Call of Duty was, with Call of Duty, I tended to always lean towards I would play I would play zombie maps. Sometimes I'd do multiplayer, but a lot of times I just play myself. Now, if I was on,
I like playing with myself,
if I was on Modern Warfare or Battlefield, those I love to play online, multiplayer. Those are my favorite, but like Call of Duty, I never really spent a lot of time. Well, I did for a little while when it was on the Xbox. I don't do it on the computer. I don't like to play competitively on the computer because, keyboards.
You got to use a controller, man.
I have one now, so maybe.
I prefer the keyboard now.
I don't like it for FPSs. I don't like.
Yeah, it's
the keyboard and mouse combo.
Yeah, it's it can be a real.
Yeah,
I don't like it. It's got to be a controller for something like that. Call of Duty is just, games like that just made for a controller. I mean, how else are you going to defeat communism without a controller in your hand?
Without a controller, yeah.
I mean,
I'm supposed to beat them with the mouse. Come on,
right?
and WASD. Come on.
Uh, the funny thing is like, I've always seen these as like training things, right? Ever since,
God,
and I reference this back to The Last Starfighter. Either one of you ever seen the movie Last Starfighter?
no.
God, I
I've seen
recommend
like
it.
5 movies in my life, dude.
Yeah. Have you seen Enemy Mine? Because that was a great movie.
Enemy Mine was great, and if you liked Enemy
Yeah.
Mine, you would enjoy The Last Starfighter. In
Yeah, but I
fact,
already like Enemy Mine, so why
the
would I
two
watch?
aliens look very much alike.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing about the correlation there for you. But anyway, but I see them as training tools, and I always have. And now I'm like, so even like Fortnite now, I'm
Oh
like, okay, so,
God.
so that one seems to me to be preparing them for like post-apocalyptic street warfare, urban warfare, right?
It's gonna be like,
You'll just
where's my?
you'll find a pallet of wood sitting around to where you can build yourself a quick,
You're like, it's not turning
lookout.
green. I can't place it. It's not turning green.
Right.
Come on.
I mean, we've already shown, but look, I mean, like a lot of the riots were, pre-stocked, like Fortnite game. There were pallets of bricks and
Yeah.
Molotov cocktails and stuff scattered around. I mean, somebody was setting up, for real life Fortnite.
I remember listening to the scanner, and yeah, at some point somebody did drop off a bunch of bricks in residential area, and the residents quickly got rid of them.
Those white supremacists dropping off bricks and stuff all the time. God.
Now, see, Nephilim Ninja agrees with me how good Last Starfighter was. I've been watching for it to come up on a streaming network, and I haven't seen it come up on one, to the point where I want to watch it bad enough that I may just go ahead and purchase my own copy, digital, and have it. It was a really good movie, John. It
I'm
really,
sure it was.
you know what? It was one of those things like when I was young. It was one of those things that gave you the drive and the motivation to want to be a video game player. Because we had the arcade, and it was based on an arcade
Yeah.
game that he learns how to play, and he's the best ever, and he reaches.
Oh, okay.
And,
I've seen the
and
Futurama episode based on this movie, so
Right.
I've already seen it basically.
No, you haven't.
It's like the same thing, right?
No, no. And this was also one of those movies that when it came out, of course, there was a Scholastic Book Fair book about the movie, the story. So I bought that, and I had that when I was a kid too. So I was able to read the story of The Last Starfighter and then eventually see it as a movie.
Was there The Last Starfighter, the video game?
No, actually, and I forget
I'm surprised.
and of course I'm horrible with memory. I can't remember the name. Was it just called The Last? Was it called Starfighter? I think the
Was
game
it
was.
Space Invaders?
No, I think it was called Starfighter. It was
Galaga.
yeah. But anyway, so I see Elephant Man has shown
Elephant
up. He
Man.
says
What
hello.
up?
I don't know. Go see it, John. You got, or not go see it, but you should look it up. You'd love
Maybe.
the movie. Ed, you too. Ed, we got to get you on watching some movies. You got to
shit.
just devote a little bit of time to watching some movies.
I
Elephant
watched
Man
Neighbors
said.
2 the other night.
Elephant Man said he had to have fun with the wife.
Yeah, but was it your wife? That's the question.
Somebody's wife.
That will always be the question, and of course, and whether or not you're willing to answer the question honestly.
Right. You do have your Fifth Amendment rights in this chat.
I mean, just bear in mind that no matter what answer you give,
we're not going to believe you.
We can say it's dishonest.
We're not going to believe you either way. So say whatever you want.
And that, sir, is really what it means to have a wife. Nothing I'm not going to believe a goddamn thing you say. No matter what you tell me, it's just not going to be true. No, that's not happening.
Right.
Wives are awesome. The fourth time around so far.
That's
what I've learned.
Fourth time's the charm,
huh? So far, yeah, that's where I'm
call
at.
Big Lou. He's just like you, except he's only on number 2.
Wait, what is that?
It's some life insurance commercial that they play on the radio all the time up around here. I thought it was a national company, but I guess not.
No.
Oh, so check this out. John, I mentioned earlier, John, about Three's Company on Pluto TV.
Yeah.
Do you remember when you told me about it for the RNC? And we'll talk about that in a moment. But You said that you'll have to watch some Joe Biden commercials,
Oh, dude,
occasionally.
it's like,
Sorry,
oh, no, I didn't say occasionally. I said it was Joe Biden
wait,
commercials every
hold
10
on,
minutes, and I'm
wait,
not fucking lying.
hold on. But you're watching the live TV stuff, aren't you?
Yeah, not the on
Okay.
demand.
So
Yeah.
now on the on demand, it's a different story. And
Oh,
what's
yeah.
interesting, this is what's most interesting, is like I think they're age targeted, and I'll let you know
Mm.
why. Because the commercials that I'm seeing regularly are from a lot of them are lawyers uh, uh, with class action suits. There's currently a big class action suit because the Boy Scouts have filed for bankruptcy. So if you have been molested by a scout leader, you have the opportunity to join and get a chunk of bankruptcy money
Oh, shit.
from the Boy Scouts. And they tell you, even though the Boy Scouts may have stolen your innocence, don't
Damn.
let them steal your chance for justice, too. I'm
Jesus.
like, damn. But also, if you've been molested by a Catholic priest,
You're shit out
there's
of
a
luck.
you can call because there's a class action suit against the Catholic Church that you can join in on if you've been molested, if you have a history of this or that.
Hmm.
And then
How
if
would one theoretically go about doing that?
there's a
'Cause,
phone number you can call.
I have a
Um,
friend who could use some money.
but I'm like, okay, so they're, because there's a certain age group that's going to be watching Three's Company,
Yeah, it's gonna be
right?
boomers.
Right? It's going to be older people that are like smart enough to be like, so that diddling could pay off finally.
Yeah.
Finally, that diddle could pay. Yeah, let's do it. I'll call. I'll call. I thought about it. I'm like, okay, I was raised in a Catholic household. We went to Catholic church quite a
Well,
bit.
Right.
and keep one
Uh,
other thing in mind as well. It's not like you've never been on a Google-owned product with a microphone and mentioned the fact that you have a sorted past with the Catholic Church either.
That's true.
Keep that in mind.
That's true.
um, But yeah, so it's interesting the targeting of the commercials. Because I have yet to see any kind of political commercial
That's
um,
interesting
for
because
anything.
I watch the
Yeah,
live
yeah.
channels. It's like every commercial break. There's at least two Joe Biden ads in there, and then like every maybe 2 hours there'll be like a little Trump ad, and then the rest is just Biden.
No, it's 2 out of 3 commercials are targeting a class action suit. There's,
Mm.
whether it be a drug, I think one of them is Zoloft or something like that, causing this, that, or the other. Oh yeah, they're like, hey, you want to sue somebody? But I will tell you this before we move
Ooh,
on.
tell
One
me.
final thing: if you ever get a postcard in the mail and it
Uh
says something
What's a
along the
postcard? What's
lines,
the mail?
yeah.
yeah. Well, anyway, it happens still at this point, or in an email even, because I've gotten this in an email too. But if you ever get an email or a contact that says that you could be part of a class action lawsuit, look into it and see and whether or not you should register. I think I've mentioned this before. I did this one time over monitors, like computer monitors, because I had bought 2 or 3 of this particular brand of monitors throughout this uh, you know chunk of time that this class action was targeting, where they had not said something about the product that they should have said or disclosed, etc. I got a check for $600 as a part of it because I took the time to sign up for the class action suit.
And they were just like, "Fuck it, just give me
And
six
these were
hundred
just
bucks. Who cares?"
monitors that I had used. I probably never had a problem with them, but they had
Right.
just gone the way of the wolf over time, right? But I was like, oh shit, because I took the time to sign up, and you just had to answer some questions. You didn't have to have like physical receipts or anything.
Damn.
And that's the second time I've taken part in something like that where it was presented, and actually the first time was like $200 for being part of a class action lawsuit in regard to tires or something like that. So don't ever overlook them. Open it, look at it, see if it's a scam, if it's and see if it's a legitimate sign up. You never
Yeah.
know what you might be a part of because people fuck up all the time. You never know that this shit's going on. That there's just some randomly a bunch of people got together and decided they were going to sue these monitor manufacturers, and I'm like, whoa,
Right.
you know.
Real quick though, I want to address what Sully's saying on D Live. He said, "Lol, that was a good one, John. I'll admit it." Yeah, thank you. Uh, I think that was talking about the joining the Marine Corps because he played Call of Duty. He also has Fortnite and licks penis too, obviously,
Fortnite and
and
what? Oh, he
he
licks
loves
penis
he
too.
licks penis too.
I have
Yeah,
been looking for somebody else to help with that.
there you go.
Just somebody to to back up my normal guy.
You guys can just work out a price, I'm sure.
Sully, we'll talk.
Um, and then he said, "I actually watched Master and Commander for the first time thanks to John. It was an awesome movie." Damn right, dude. That
I've
movie
heard.
is fantastic.
I want to say a long time ago saw it, but I don't.
It
A
came
lot
out in
on.
2005, so
Yeah, that's a
yes,
long time for some of
yeah,
us.
yeah.
10 every 10 years is like 20 now.
But yeah, no, it's my favorite movie. It's awesome.
Nephilim. He says that
That's
his
good.
choice in monitors is as good as his choice in wives.
Focus the charm.
Let's be honest. Monitors are not forever because
Yeah,
if I were holding on to monitors that might still be usable, I want to say 6, 8, 12 inches deep, like those
yeah.
big tube monitors. Jesus Christ. Have you ever used one of those, Ed? No? No?
Yes.
Oh
Anybody?
yeah, of course. Yeah.
You kids and your flat screens and your
Nah,
inch.
man. Talking like 98 monitors, like 1998, like
Hmm.
those big ass. Like they're always like some shitty color that you can't
Right?
quite place what it
Right?
is. It's like a beige, but it's kind of not. It's like lighter than that, but like
Right.
yeah, it's like you can't quite place the color
And
of
you
the
can't
monitor.
always,
Yeah,
and you can never get the monitor all the way to the back of the desk unless
right,
as long as the desk is against the wall. So then you got
right.
to
You
pull it
gotta
out
move
from
it
the
a
wall to adjust
lot.
for the fucking depth of the back
Because
of the fucking
otherwise,
monitor.
yeah, otherwise your keyboard's like bumping up against a little stand that the
Right.
monitor's on, and like it's annoying. Like, yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah. Do you feel those woes, Ed? Yeah. Yeah. Do you feel that? Do you
No,
feel
I've got
it?
two 24-inch TVs sitting in front of me.
Yes, but
Ooh.
how much space do they take up depth wise now? An
Fucking
inch and
none,
a
None.
half.
maybe.
Well,
Yeah.
the stand.
Oh
A
yeah,
lot of
yeah.
times we're still dealing with. Actually, I like one of mine is actually I just got a TV. It's a
Oh
24
shit,
inch.
what are you
It's
celebrating there, Sully? He
what
said he's drinking to celebrate.
he was celebrating getting with his wife earlier, I think.
No, that was
No, that
Elephant
was
Man.
Elephant Man.
Oh, Elephant Man got with Sully's wife.
I think
Wait,
so. I think
what?
that's what's going on. Yeah.
Okay. Uh,
All right, I guess we're not going to talk about the damage. I'm actually going to dip out of here for a bit because
we
I'm
are going to
stoked on.
talk about it. God
We will.
damn
Yeah,
it!
we'll
Stop.
talk about
Stop
it.
being pissy. Did you not order food yet? Order
I
some
did.
food. All right.
Okay,
Well, just
we
it'll
can
I
talk
be
did
about
while
it's
you
it.
guys were talking about monitors.
Yeah, no,
uh,
we kind of got sidetracked. It
so
happens.
we went off on a little tangent. You know what, Mister Order and stuff. Hey, Ed, have you watched any of the RNC convention this week?
I did not. I
What?
haven't even watched any of the clips.
What?
I imagine he was too busy dealing with his hometown burning down. Like that
Mhm.
kind of takes the forefront of your mind when that
Yeah,
happens. I don't think that. Yeah, I don't think that's
I,
unreasonable.
I couldn't believe it when I actually walked by the parole office, which has been sitting there. The building, it's not always been a parole office, but the building's there, been there since 1952, and it's not there anymore.
Mm.
You know that was the first thing they torched.
Oh yeah.
Oh fuck! I don't have to go back there no more.
Yeah.
The furniture
Damn.
store just that blew my mind.
The furniture store?
So that they talked about that on the second night that they an office furniture store went up in flames right next to where one of the other dealerships. It was a little ways up the road from where the kid shot his two attackers.
Mm.
That was down by 63rd. I think they got their directions wrong actually, because I think that was up actually closer to 60th. Now that I'm thinking a little bit more about this on the map. But anyway, yeah, that was right up by the hospital. A little ways down the road, there was a tire fire in one dealership, but the owner said it was controlled. Everything else, there was a used tire shop and another small car dealership, all boarded up, busted up windows. And then there was a random office furniture store that used to be a floral shop, and they firebombed that. They torched that. That is no more. I went over to Uptown. There are two storefronts that are connected, like I had said, with the other historical buildings that were. I don't know what was in the storefronts now because they down in that neighborhood they change hands all the time. But the storefronts are burned out. There were apartments above them. Those were razed to the ground. I don't know if the buildings that are attached to them are going to be salvageable or not. And then across the street, there was a car shop that used to be a towing company. I actually worked for the towing company when it was there. And there were big signs on the door that said, "Don't hurt us, we're minority owned."
Yeah, that doesn't help, unfortunately.
Yeah, no. So, I mean, it brings a tear to your eye when you see something like that. You can't believe that it's happening.
Yeah.
But the thing with the kid shooting, too, and I've been thinking about this, I've actually been in sort of a long standing argument with somebody over on Twitter for a little while talking a bit about that. And I mean, he wants to go and slam this Rittenhouse into the ground because he wanted to be a cop when he grew up, and this guy's like apparently super libertarian because everybody's a statist to him. And so I don't care when two statists kill each other, that kind of guy.
Mm.
But honestly, I love this kid. I know he's going up and he's going up for first degree murder right now, but I have to laud this kid because I mean, if somebody had done that in the Chaz back when that was starting, I don't think we'd be seeing a lot of this bullshit we're seeing right now.
Yeah.
In a place like we're seeing it, I don't think they would have believed they could have got away with it if somebody had done that when they started separating off from the Chaz, or if somebody had done this in Minneapolis.
Yeah.
If the rioters looked up and said, "Oh shit, they're going to fight back."
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons it's gotten so widespread is because they're like, oh, no one's stopping us. Let's take another step forward. You know, oh, no one stopped us still. Let's take another step. Let's see what we can get away with. And then they found out.
Well, that's there's some folks doing that up in Chicago. You got not in our Inglewood.
A constant state of protest anyway.
Say what, Ed?
Chicago's in a constant state of protest and unrest anyway.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, Portland has been at protests since 1962.
Portland's its own little thing. Yeah. I think Portland protests against its own audacity is what it is. I mean, that's they're a victim of their own audacity.
We were talking about Chirac long before any of this started. So, I mean, the violence in those places, we just look the other way. Violence in Kenosha like this is like, hold on, what the fuck? This can't happen here. This is the Knightstown. Yeah, you hear about somebody beating some guy on the side of the street every once in a while. But then the victim's buddies come back and kick the guy's ass, and then it's over.
Well, real quick, we got Freckles and Brit show is over on Periscope. How's it going? Just want to acknowledge her.
That color is slightly dirty.
Yeah, the monitor color, the not beige.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to keep up with it, but talking. Oh, and there's Wyatt. Wyatt showed up. I'm very late. He is very late. Was he supposed to be here at a certain time?
He's going to actually clap hands out with me, and he's going to talk about the RNC.
Oh, yeah?
What the hell are you talking about? No, you know what? You already the premise of the RNC this time around and I got a taste of it just watching one night of it. It's nothing about new policy, what we're gonna do. It's about what we've done and continuing to do what we've been doing. They're not.
Well, it was that, and it was also, and this is a good move on their part. It was about unity and hope, as opposed to doom and gloom, which you got from the DNC the week before.
No, all I got from the DNC the week before was vote for me. I'm not fucking orange.
Well, there was that a lot
Sure.
of that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is funny because they always talked about like, oh, he mentioned Biden and the Democrats a shitload of times, but we never mentioned him once. And it's like, yeah, you did though. You didn't say Trump did this, but you mentioned him quite often. Like,
now,
you just
now
didn't
I'm
say his name. That's all.
now
Like, just
while
because he's Voldemort to you, so it's like, of course you didn't say his name. Like, but you mentioned him. Like, don't lie.
now
Whatever.
I will say that um, from the standpoint of unity, like you talked about, I
Mhm.
would say yes. There was a spirit of that infused in what I heard. The further away from the president you were, as speakers got closer, like his son,
Mhm.
I listened to Eric talk, and then of course I've been listening to some of Trump, and I spoilered myself and got flashed through a few places and listened to him. Still, it was like these liberal leaders in these cities allowing their towns and everything to go to hell. So like the closer
Mhm.
you get to Trump, yes, less of that unity spirit is being felt in the rhetoric, but I do get a little bit of that sense from the everyone else who is speaking for the most part. You know what I mean? Coming together, as it were.
Yeah.
Um, but I have to say this, and you have to tell me if it's just me, if this is just always her, but it's just always now how I see her because I don't think I saw her this way before. Melania, during
Mhm.
her speech, her eyes were so fucking dead. Like just dead. Even if someone's not a great speaker, right?
Yeah.
But they're talking about something they're passionate about. You see it in their eyes, right? If they believe in what they're talking about. But she delivered, and it wasn't really a communication barrier or anything like that, but her eyes just looked so dead, like she was not there. I don't know. I don't know if I don't think did. You said you didn't see her speak. Am I correct, John?
I didn't see any speak.
I saw
Yeah.
Melania speak. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to pull up. You got to pull it up and look. I don't know if and check it out. But she just seemed very dead and very robotic. It was one of those things that I thought was they have the three prompters, the mirror,
Yeah.
the little glass things to read off of. Um, but she was very much here, and then she would look to here and speak
I
for a
mean, but
while.
she's not really a
But the
public
cameras,
speaker, though, right? I
right? But
mean,
and the cameras weren't following. The cameras were always dead on. So
yeah.
she's looking off this way, but it's just very like very robotic coordinated, like she was counting in her head how long she was looking in one direction then before she moved to the next, and then those dead eyes, and I was just like, who is this
Yeah.
woman?
Well, I mean, she's not a public speaker. You'd
I
probably get
know,
up
but
there and do something similar.
well, I'll put Michelle
Scared out of your
Obama up
fucking
there.
mind.
I mean, but Michelle Obama brings personality to it.
Yeah.
She is the first lady. It was just one of those. I don't know. It was just an oddity that stood out for me in
Hmm.
watching the speeches that I did. Um, like I don't know. She just didn't seem to have any passion for what she was saying. And then she had the
Right.
unmitigated gall to call the president of the United States by his first name. By his first name
He's
on
taking the
public
dick from him.
television. On
Yeah.
public television, a woman called the president by his first name.
Well, it wasn't just a woman though; it was his wife. So
John,
it's slightly different, I
some
think.
propriety, please. Some propriety in this country. Woman has
No,
her
see that she
place.
was trying to present a genuine moment and show her actual love for Donald Trump.
She did it like
Plus, Big
three
Mike did it all the
times.
time.
She did it like three times.
Yeah.
Big Mike does it all the time still.
Who?
Big Mike.
Who's Mike?
Michelle Obama.
Oh,
Oh
but that's okay.
right, yeah.
That's they that's okay. Change.
Hope and
We're
change.
we're supposed to make America great again. So she needs to know
We
her
did that
place.
though.
She needs to know her
We
place.
did that. We just had to do it yet again. So it should be like Magia.
I hope Brit's not still. Well, I do hope Brit's watching, but don't take me seriously, Brit. A woman does. Well, all right.
Do you
You know,
want a shovel so you can dig your hole a little bit deeper?
um,
Might make it faster.
Robert. No one says President Trump. I always say President Trump.
No, it's President Drumpf
Oh, Trump.
or
Evil
Drumpfler.
Donald Trumpler is what
Yeah,
it
Brit
is.
says I
Drumpfler.
have taken you seriously. Great. No.
Ha!
Uh,
Oh, then she corrected. I've never taken you seriously. I don't know which one's more insulting. No,
I've never taken him seriously, so.
I don't think anyone has.
hey, you don't have to take me seriously, but I always recommend you take me with a grain of salt. It really brings the flavor out.
A little bit of lime, maybe.
Makes sense.
Lime's not bad, but a little bit of salt to bring the flavor out. Accent that spicy that you might get every once in a while. Make America great again. That's all that matters, right?
MAGA.
But he did graciously accept, humbly and before God.
Naturally.
Except he violated the fucking Hatch Act.
Huh?
He violated the Hatch Act.
Why?
Yeah, I forget what that was. Like people were talking about that, how he's violated the law apparently.
He used the White House for a political speech, for a campaign speech.
Because he did the speech from the White House during COVID-19.
And Amy Klobuchar drank a bunch of fucking wine and said, "Get off my lawn."
That's right. Yeah.
Shaking like a fucking chihuahua.
I believe that an exception would be granted in that event. I think these are exceptional circumstances. Any court would rule that. So fuck them, right?
Yeah.
What is it? What does they say? Joke them if they can't take a fuck.
Yeah. I guess that's what they say.
Freckles. Britt says the president can't violate the Hatch Act. Neither can the VP.
Really? Yeah, I don't know shit about the Hatch Act. This is the first I'm hearing of it.
The Hatch Act was unconditional from jump, and the president is the only exception, Elephant Man says.
Huh, okay, fair enough then. There you go. You didn't violate shit. Get wrecked, libtards.
Here is something interesting for you. Up to this point, I had no idea what the Hatch Act was.
I didn't either.
So therefore, he hadn't violated any laws anyway.
He wasn't aware. He didn't violate any laws I was aware of. So.
Right.
Right. Yeah, I had no idea what that was.
He's a fine, upstanding young man. He didn't do anything wrong.
He's a nice young boy.
I thought the Hatch Act dictated chicken farming, Sully says. Always the comedian. Britt says, I guess we can thank Bill Clinton for that. What do you know, Ed? What do you know about the Hatch Act? Talk to us, Ed.
Very little. I know it's one of those obscure laws, like, what's the one that they tried to get Flynn on? I can't think of the name of it, but the obscure one that nobody had done since the 18th century. About foreign leaders. I cannot think of the name of this one right now, but it's one of those obscure laws. Apparently, you are not allowed to use the official residence, the White House, for political campaigning. But the president can't be charged with it. I don't know.
Well,
I know that they brought it up when he canceled everything out of Jacksonville and said, "Hey, you know what? Maybe I'll just do the RNC from the Rose Garden."
But see, that's all bets are off when it comes to the coronavirus. I mean, we've got to get used to, except mail-in voting. As long as it's not mail-in voting, we've got to get used to unusual circumstances dictating unusual, except mask wearing. um, and shutdowns and mail-in voting. You've got to expect that there are going to be things that are
I
going to
like what Nephilim
change
said there.
that
He
aren't
axed
normally there.
first, so he didn't break the Hatch Act. That's funny.
He axed first.
Remember
I
when people
see
used
what
to say
he did
axe? Like,
there.
let me ask you a
I
question.
see what he did there,
I see what
and
he did there too. I
there's
like it.
humor in that.
Yes.
Hey, hang on just a sec, guys. I'll be right back.
All right.
Bye, Ed.
Go get your food, Ed.
Hurry back.
Hurry back. We miss you already.
Cheeseburger.
Whoa.
But anyway, yeah, no. I didn't know the Hatch Act was a thing. But
I had no
anyway,
idea.
yeah, no. The there was too much of the patting Donald Trump on the back going on for
Well, I
me.
mean,
I
when that
mean,
happened,
granted, that's just kind of the thing,
it's
but
kind of the point of it existing in the first
right.
place. I
Um,
mean,
but
it's just a big circular suck job.
right,
The whole thing.
and of course, the of course, the first thing that flies are all the fact checking things, and of course, it's like, okay, yes, Donald Trump spoke for an hour plus, and yes, there's a good chance that as Donald Trump was speaking, he exaggerated a few things
No,
or
not
made some
Trump.
kind of blanket
No, he
statements
wouldn't do that.
about things that would immediately cause fact check databases to self implode. Um, but I don't know, man. I don't know who's supposed to win. Like, I don't know what the best outcome here is, if that makes sense, right? Because it's, I'm in this position of, okay, do I vote? Do I even attempt to consider party as a direction to vote? Do I think about
Voting.
party? Um,
Imagine voting.
I
right?
know, right?
And then,
Cringe.
or do I vote for, what I think will keep the peace, right? I mean, because I mean, it's I'm like, what is the worst case scenario if I cast the wrong vote or the wrong person wins? What could happen? you know,
Yeah.
there's so many people sitting in that place right now with like my vote. Now my vote might matter, right?
Imagine voting.
I know, it's fucking cringe.
So Ed, are you
Just
not
vote
going to
harder.
vote?
I am going to be doing some down ballot stuff, but as of right now, there's no presidential candidate that I can vote for.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean you
Agreed.
won't cast a vote.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they'll intercept my mail-in vote and mark me down for Biden.
Right.
You mean absentee ballot?
No, mail-in vote. Mail-in voting is safe, and you have to demand that your legislature does it.
I like the one that was like, if you have so much faith in the mail system, then go ahead and put $5,000 cash in an envelope and mail it to yourself. Like if you don't have the balls to do that, then you don't actually trust it. I was just like, damn, fair enough.
Well,
Yeah,
and that's just it too. And I've had some bitch out of Dallas that's been trying to text me back and forth. I'm pretty sure that by this point it's election intimidation, but she says it's all legal. But trying to convince me to go and mail and vote, I'm like, it's 3,000 fucking feet over there.
Oh, the polling place.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I've got one a block and a half from me.
Mine's right at the street. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with going to vote. I don't love the idea of if there. I think the place where I would go vote is right here by me. I think that they've been attempting to do like outdoor voting.
Mm-hmm.
I know that there was something preliminary, like one of the primary things earlier on where they were trying a drive-up method where you would drive it through and do your voting so that you didn't have to get out of the car, social distancing type stuff, whatever. But
oh my god, drive-through
but
voting.
just
That
FYI,
is so American. I could totally see it happening.
well, I mean, it's it's unusual times, unusual circumstances.
Yeah, whatever.
But our recent primaries have been applauded in the way that Florida handled them this time around in like doing preliminary things like starting to count the votes much earlier. votes that they were getting in, counting them as they came in, that kind of thing, instead of sitting until the end and try and count them all at one time and leave so much room for error, et cetera, et cetera. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I, I don't know of any place that's just been doing mass mail-in voting or anything for the primaries, but who knows what's to come with the general election. But I don't expect it here in Florida because we're kind of on the forefront of, you know, fuck the coronavirus, right?
Well,
I mean,
that's where we are too, and they keep trying to cram the fear down your throat and say, "Well, if you step 6 feet outside your door, you're going to get the coronavirus, and as soon as you have the coronavirus, it's an instant death sentence. You're going to die.
Yeah,
You're going to
it's
die.
so
You're going to."
dumb.
But I mean, that is the reality of everything, and they're trying everything that they can to try and get this off. The biggest problem that I have at this point, and especially with me not voting for a presidential candidate this time through, is I am not going to hand my ballot to a person who is working for a union that has made a political endorsement. That is a conflict of interest.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen. I'm not going to hand you a piece of paper with that little line blank that everybody's got such a fucking boner for.
Oh no, don't leave it blank. I would suggest like scribbling through it or something like that, just so that like nothing else can get written there.
yeah,
You
I
know what I
mean,
mean?
just cast a vote for, even if you cast a vote for yourself,
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with casting a vote for yourself on the right,
Or better yet,
in the
cast a
right
vote
end.
for me. I'll do it.
I guess I did promise that Bernie broad I was going to do that, didn't I?
Oh, you did, didn't you? Yeah, there you go. So just write yourself in.
Hey, you
Or,
know,
don't even write your name. Just do like a description. Be like that one podcast guy. I don't know. Do some kind of description like that.
well, that's how I
I mean,
wrote it
You
back to
can
her
figure
too,
it
because like I
out.
say, they got my information from Verizon, so she's out there using my first name off of this, and I'm like, hey, you know what? You know that YouTube guy Jay Edgar? I'm gonna write him in, and I never got a response back from that one.
but don't forget, there's probably going to be other things that require your attention. That as far as the
Yeah,
vote is concerned
like I
that
said, I'm
day.
going down ballot for sure, but
Oh, dude, real quick. Sully Blue says he's got to get it set up so he can stream. Dude, do it. You should do it. I'm sure that Ed will help you get into
Sh-
Freedom Scoop if you want.
Shit, yeah.
Yeah, do it.
We could use a third on here. I mean, what the fuck?
Oh
Come on.
shit, dude, that's true.
Shit, you could be our third wheel for shooting the shit nights.
He
And
can be
speaking of which,
he
could
can
your
be
stream
our.
handle that much fucking Florida?
I think so. We've had enough Altus on here. He's in Florida,
That's fair.
so it can handle at least 3 Floridas. We know that.
But he is German native, so
Yeah, I mean it's diluted a little bit, but I mean I'm not originally from here, and neither is Sully, and neither
that's
is
true.
Robert. So none of us are
is
originally from
anybody
here.
originally from anywhere?
Apparently, that I've
I'm
heard
originally
about.
fr- I'm originally from Earth.
Yeah, I mean I've
That I
heard
know.
about people being born in Florida, but I don't know if I've ever met one.
I know I'm
I think
from
that's a
Earth.
myth.
I thought they just died there.
What?
I thought they just died there.
Usually, yeah.
You
Typically,
don't
you come
get
here
born
to
in
die.
Florida, you just die there.
Right.
Especially if you're one of David Hogg's classmates.
No,
Oh, got him. God damn.
wow.
That was dark.
Wow. Ed,
Bringing
Ed, Ed, Ed,
the thunder, man. I like it.
Ed, Ed,
Yeah.
Ed. Oh my
Ed,
goodness
Ed, Ed,
gracious.
Ed, Ed,
You
Ed.
gotta serve a glass of milk with something that spicy, pal. I'm just saying.
That was rather spicy. I like it.
Uh, Elephant Man says, "I still
Oh,
live
hang
where I
on.
was raised.
Holy shit.
In your mom and dad's house."
Sully Blue donated 3 diamonds. One word each. Diamonds are forever. Aw.
Shut the front door.
I put one in
Damn.
there too, you little cuck. You didn't say anything about that.
I
Oh,
don't.
you're right. I didn't.
I don't have D Live up, so he's talking to you, John.
Yeah, I know. He is talking to me. Yeah, thank you, Ed. I'm actually going to open the chest at the end of the night here. So if
Well, that's
you've done
coming up on
anything,
us here shortly because I'm about
it
to
is.
run you through your paces like a
And
fucking
don't call me
show horse.
shortly. And don't call me shortly.
Yeah, that doesn't work. It didn't.
It
Yeah, no,
does.
sorry. It
It
doesn't even
works.
get a smile. Hey,
Fire off of me.
John, we have a scheduling change coming up, and this is kind of suddenly, but it's happening, and there's not a lot we can do about it, or I
That's
can do
right.
about it. But John has acquiesced and said, we can do this for right now.
Yeah, sorry, we got to end the show forever, guys. This is our last episode ever. Probably should have told you that at the beginning,
Um,
but no.
but Ed and Sully Blue are going to be taking over for us,
Right.
and
With the Ed Sully show, right? And the Ed Sullivan show, but Ed Sully show. Uh,
nice.
anyway, yeah, we're changing shooting the shit from Monday nights to Wednesday night instead.
Yep,
So
we're no
same
longer going to be.
time, same shit time, same shit channel.
Is it a work schedule thing, or is it because everybody
I
else's show is on
It
fucking
is.
Monday
It
night?
is actually. It is actually kind of a work/family thing for me. I'm going to start babysitting my granddaughter again, um, while so that her mother can work because she's not going to have the anybody to watch the child. So I'm going to offer her some of my daycaring skills, as it were. Um, Basically duct taping a child to a wall with a TV on and a tube to a protein drink. It's how you take care of children, folks. It's really simple stuff. Duct tape, protein drink, large straw, television remote.
Yep.
Put something Disney on if it's a girl. If it's a boy, something with trucks. You're covered. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you put on YouTube, it'll stream all fucking day and night.
Stream some weird shit too.
And
Remember
and
that
if you
whole
get
Oh,
and also if you get a neck pillow, the one that you use when you're on
yeah,
an
the travel
airline,
pillows.
but you
Uh-huh.
turn it around the other way, you put it on the front, their head has something to naturally lean on, and they'll just sleep right there as well. Uh, you know,
Yeah.
yeah.
you
So
got this shit all figured out, don't you?
daycare from the generational gap.
That's right.
Coming
Childcare
at you.
tips.
Yeah. If you look on Amazon, I'm sure you'll find a book that we didn't write, but has the same high quality care tips in it.
High quality.
High quality, like smoked. You roll the book. It's that high quality.
Nice.
Smoke the fucking book. All right.
If it was
Uh,
any higher quality, I would have to be talking like Kimberly Guilfoyle.
and I don't get
Whoa.
that reference. Who are you
I
trying to
don't
be?
either.
Oh, I guess you guys didn't watch the first night of
I watched the first. I don't
the first
remember
night of the
names.
RNC.
I
So
watched the first
John
night.
said
Yeah,
he watched the first night.
I
I watched the second.
did.
All
I
right.
also
Anyway,
watched. I watched Sandman on the second night, but that's about it.
Don
okay.
Jr.'s new wife was up there, and she was acting like she was in there with the crowd. So I mean, it was all like energized and trying to get up and
Oh
trying
yeah,
to make
yeah.
it. It was hilarious.
I do remember that. Yeah, because I was like okay, like I mean I get it, but like it would be way better if we could hear some cheers in the back.
Yeah, exactly.
It's missing
So
something.
what's his press secretary's name?
Kaylee McEnany.
McEnany. Apparently, she's shown, and I haven't watched her
Kennedy.
speech yet, but apparently she stood out like a shining star there.
Well, she does that anyway because she's a fucking goddess.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you just got the hots for her, but I mean, granted, she's definitely not Miss Muppet that was in there before, but
Miss Muppet was my spirit animal, I'll have you know.
really? So that's what's
Yes.
wrong with you? All right. So anyway,
I want to throw Acosta around like that.
John, let's. I want to go ahead and wrap this up.
Fine.
My bladder is given some input on this, but still, But anyway, so real quick, John, tell these people where they can find us, and make sure that they hit the like button if they haven't already.
Yes. Hit the like button if you haven't already. I'm saying totally unprompted. And if you haven't, subscribe. That'd be cool too. Subscribing is always fun for us. If you're interested in seeing any more of us, you can look down the description. We have a Twitter down there. And we have a Discord server, which is a lot of fun and awesome. I highly recommend it. And then we've got a subscribe star too, if you like us that much. I recommend that too. It helps us out, and it helps. And there's a lot of perks too, nice little perks that go along with it. So make sure you check those out. And then freedomscoop.com. We're also there, where you can see all of our stuff and Ed's stuff as well. He's over there. And we got Stephen Ignoramus, already conservative, Wyatt from Roundtable Decision, and Freckles and Britt are over there as well. So make sure you go check them out and buy our shirts. Shirts are awesome. We have them.
Yeah,
And
you
we have a
should.
promo code for our shirts as well. If you put in Gin Gap at the checkout, you'll get 15% off your purchase. So that's pretty awesome too. Yeah.
Got it. All right, good.
I think that's everything, yeah.
I'm glad I gave you enough time for that. That's becoming a laundry list.
Hey, listen, I've done it quickly before. That's what she said. And it went pretty
That's the
well, I
name of
think.
your next sex tape.
My next what?
Sex tape.
Sex tape? That's
Yeah.
what she said?
Yeah. No, what
No,
you
I did
said.
it quickly.
I did it quickly.
Yeah.
Name of your next sex tape.
Yeah, I did it quickly.
Ed.
Yes, sir.
Before I ramble on about us, what you got going on? You got things. You're somebody out there.
Well, I am the host of Contemporary with J. Edgar every morning between 7 and 8, depending on when I get up in the morning, because I'm still on that second shift schedule for sleep. And I am one half of the Red Net Show, Mondays at 5:30 p.m. Central Time. Come on over and check us out. That's when I hit the D Live Chest as well. So go ahead and check us out there. We always love to have you there. Pick up some of our swag and some of our opinions as well. So go and check us out there. And well, I run Freedom Scoop, so you guys have already done a good enough job promoting that for me.
Hey, just a quick question for you. It's more rhetorical, but do you think anything will ever happen to where you do a show where it's Red and Ed Redemption? Anyway,
I get it.
yeah, Red and Ed Redemption. See, and then a part 2, maybe, because it happened twice. But anyway, we will be back on Wednesday for our regular Shooting the Shit episode, irregularly on Wednesday, of course, but at the same fun time of 9:30 Eastern, the only true time zone, the one that matters. And I think Ed would concur on this.
Yeah, I totally agree, guys.
Yeah, okay.
And then, of course, we'll be back again next Friday at 8:30 Eastern Time. Once again, the only true time zone for our regular episode. Outside of that, I don't know. Is Ed, just hold on tight, buddy. They'll put that shit to bed. I don't know. I hate to see you going through that. That's really a shitty situation to be in. I feel for you, but there's got to be a light on the other end of the tunnel. There definitely has to be. As long
I know my godmother went down to the lake and prayed yesterday, so it's getting back to the point of normalcy, I think.
Good. All right, well, folks, keep your chins up and have yourselves a wonderful evening. Usually when Ed's on here and he sticks with us to the end, I will always let him sign us off with his normal exit, which I love so much. And outside of that, we're going to get the hell out of here. Ed, leave it to you.
Never take the words of bloggers, podcasters, or journalists as gospel. Find all the facts and draw your own conclusions. Take care.
Peace.
See you.
The war will begin.